Well, welcome to the Hold My Trident podcast. Kyle and I are here with you tonight, and there's a lot to talk about. It's been an interesting week with spring training and the WBC and some Mariners drama, which does not happen very often for us. So we get to chat about that tonight. Kyle, you want to take us away? What do you want to talk about first?
I think just a quick kind of roundup of just kind of where the Mariners are doing. More so spring training individuals. Brennan Davis, he is becoming a commodity that it's one of those things you really go, oh, he's playing a good spring training. That'll be great in AAA, but you kind of go, I think he's kind of blowing that out of the water and going, is this guy gonna, now we're kind of talking, well, who's now getting booted to give him a shot? It's kind of that question. Does he make the roster? Especially if you ended it today, does he make the roster?
I mean, I think if you ended it today, I would say yes. Now, the only reason why I would say maybe not is because our team has a history of giving their MLB caliber guys that have been on the roster before a shot in the spring to see how they do when they're actually out there playing games that count towards a record. But if you were just looking at stats, I mean, my goodness, Victor Robles up until his hit today was batting like 082. And I just don't. Yeah, I think they're going to give these guys who were on the roster last year an opportunity, but I can't imagine that Brandon Davis is going to be sitting very long in AAA if that continues. I mean, you cannot have a guy who's mashing like that sitting in your farm system when he could be contributing in your ballpark.
I mean, right now he's sitting there with almost a 1,300 OPS. I mean, the slugging is 844. I mean, again, and it's like, oh, he's had a couple games. He's had 32 at bats. I mean, like, again, I know that's not a massive sample size, but in terms of spring training, 13 games, 32 at bats, 5 walks to 11 Ks. Again, that's not a 2-to-1 is not a terrible number. Obviously, you want that to be a little bit better, but right now you got to think about, you don't have Gino anymore. So how are you making up for again, I don't think Gino's hitting 50 bombs this year. So let's just say on a standard year, maybe he's 35, maybe this coming year. Yeah. Again, you don't have that. And Brendan Donovan, while I'm going to eat crow because he's doing phenomenal, the bat's phenomenal. I can't wait to see him, in the leadoff role game one, but he's not, he's going to bring you maybe 10 bombs. So again, where's this production going to come from, especially from the power? And again, I know, Safeco Field, I'm going to call it Safeco Field the day I die, isn't exactly the marine layer and all those fun things, but you play another 81 games on the road away from the field. So it's, I don't know. I mean, right now it's nice to see. And we kind of talked about before we started, Cole Young early on was kind of playing himself out of a role. I almost used the Matt Flynn reference of, well, it's your job to lose and you're kind of giving it away. And when you talk, you kind of, I don't know if it was, your little clip for him, but 273 with the OPS over 1,000, hold my beer. He's figured it out. And, again, we talk about spring training kind of being a place where you can't, numbers can be deceiving because maybe someone's, maybe he's working on looking at pitches middle out or low or out or low and away, and he's trying to work on driving the ball that way. A lot of things to be happening. And again, we're not getting that, insight to know, hey, let's take this with a grain of salt. He's working on something specific. But two guys right there that I'm super excited about that are really, again, Brennan's been doing it since the day one of spring training. Cole Young's really taking it on. And I'd say probably the last person who I really think I'd love to see on the rosters because of what he does, versatility, and he's just consistent would be Leo Rivas.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he came up last year, he performed. Again, he did exactly what you asked him to do. And I just, right now, what is he sitting? He's sitting there 6 walks, seven strikeouts, 280, almost 1,000 OPS, showing a little bit of pop. He's got 2 home runs. Over 25 at bats. that's not a bad stat line. You think over, eight home runs over 100 at bats, like, looking at just that ratio. I mean, I take that in a heartbeat from him. So lots of good things coming from the club. I'd say the pitching right now is still kind of, what are we going to get? Again, with working on stuff. To me, that's always the biggest enigma of spring training is, what are the pitchers doing? Because sometimes, I think Castillo, to me, the guy's a workhorse, but right now you're going, and I think Gavin talked about just the career progression or regression. Are we seeing it, or is he just working on stuff? I'd love to be a fly on the wall, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. That's actually what I'm talking about. My article this week is, I think the biggest question mark for the Mariners right now is who's getting those final, 1, 2, 3 bullpen spots? Like, I think we have some guys we have the guys that we know are going to be there regardless. Munoz, Brash, Spire, Bizzardo, Jose Ferrer, like we know the guys who are going to be in the bullpen regardless, but those last couple of spots, I'm really curious who it's going to be. Is it going to be Cooper Crismo? He's done, again, another guy who's done everything you've asked of him. There's guys that I think they really hoped that would take one of those spots. And you think Troy Taylor, I don't think he's going to. He's had a really terrible spring. And so, yeah, I think, and I agree with you completely. I don't know. Leo Rivas is one of my favorites. I don't know if I'm ever going to get Goldie's call of when he hit that home run. Where just like, Leo Rivas, what have you done? Like, that's going to live in my head forever. He's one of my favorite players in the whole Mariners organization. And so I'd love to see him get a roster spot. But I think, it's so hard in this last little bit of spring training to really kind of like you said, it's really hard to know what the players are really doing. Like, what are there specific things that they're trying to tweak? Are there things that they're trying to figure out that obviously we're not going to know about? And really, it's like the proof is in the pudding once the regular season starts. Like, is that when they start performing, or is that, is it continue to be a struggle, right? And so, yeah, I completely agree with that. And I mean, yeah, Brennan Davis, I don't know. I don't think anybody thought that he was going to perform like this. In the first week or so, we're like, oh, we haven't seen him a ton yet, so this could just be a small sample size thing. And then they gave him a ton more opportunities to play, and he's just continued to mash the ball. I mean, he's just, everywhere he goes, he's just hitting home runs. And so, yeah, I would love to see him either on the opening day roster or a really early spring call up, but I mean, we'll see.
And this guy's not far removed from being a top prospect. I mean, he was a big deal with the Chicago Cubs, and the injury bug was kind of what has kind of hampered him, I think, from really maybe seeing his full potential. And it might be the right place, right time for Seattle by grabbing him and going, hey, what do we need to do to get you healthy? I mean, I was kind of shocked the other day. I was just kind of reading an article. It was, it's one of those things they start telling you all the details, and it's like, and it's this person. It talked about Edgar Martinez. This was a guy that, came through the minors. I think he got signed when he was 19. I believe it was 19. He didn't even see his first major league season until he was 27.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah.
You see some of these guys that need to just, maybe it's just the body, the mind, everything in between, that kind of maybe they get that kind of just late jolt of whatever you want to call it. Let's just say God-given talent at this point, and it all just kind of comes together. So I'd love to see Dipoto. And again, we talk about Dipoto, and the hitters are always just maybe not has been his kind of. He's landed a real just diamond in the rough that just got us somewhere. Maybe this is the one. We'll see. But really excited. But yeah, I agree. Very, very. And this is exciting for Seattle because there's not so much volatility, especially with the pitchers. And we've been pretty fortunate, especially with the front five. You kind of mentioned again Brash, Munoz, Spire, Farrar, and then who's those next people? Criswell. I mean, you think about his spring. He's pitched 10 innings with an ERA under 2, 1.74.
Mm-hmm.
I think Emerson Hancock, with what he's done, I think he's your lock for that long-term reliever role. Maybe he comes in to be maybe that, 2-inning guy, you can get him in the, let's just say a pitcher's just gassed after 5, you get him 6 and 7, or at least 6 and maybe into the 7th, and then you get the A team in there, and you get Spire, Brash, and Munoz. I mean, I think that's a pretty good recipe for success. Again, love seeing more lefties in this bullpen. Again, I wish we had more. I wish we had another lefty in the rotation, but again, you can't complain about what we've got there. Be curious. And again, I think it's going to manifest. Guys are going to play at a higher level because they can go look at AAA and go, damn, they're pretty good. Like we're deep. I mean, we've got depth, I think, at a lot of positions this year. We know we have depth in the outfield. And I think if there's any position that's maybe going, man, if I even get into a little slump, I might be seeing myself down in Tacoma. Hey, I'll be cheering you from the Summit Club, but that's exciting because again, competition brings out the best in players. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. If you're looking at the spring so far, who do you think would be our depth starter, especially as we're looking at Bryce Miller? He's probably not starting that. He's probably going to start the season potentially on the injured reserve, right? He might not be ready for that first start. And so I'm just curious, who do you think your depth starter would be? Would it be Dane Dunning? Would it be Emerson Hancock? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think if you look at how they've kind of ramped up Hancock, I think probably in the last, was it yesterday, the day before, he pitched almost, I think it was 4 2/3. Mm-hmm. I think if there's any indication of who they're leaning towards, it's him. I think because again, you don't have Logan Evans anymore. He's out for the year. So you don't have this kind of, we have a couple guys to play with. We could have a guy at AAA, kind of get him. I call it the Tommy Malone role, but this one's obviously more structured to be in the rotation until Bryce is healthy. But I think it's Emerson Hancock, hands down. He's got the experience. He's got that versatility, and he's showing that he can be effective right now. I think the ERA is high, but I think that's more so this first couple outings. But I think I can't remember his last outing. If I went back and looked, against was it the Royals? No, it's the Cubs. Excuse me. 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, and no walks. That's a good day. Yeah, it's a great day.
That's a really good day. Yeah.
So, I think that's probably who you're looking at as your number 5 guy right now. Do you see? I know. Again, do we see a Ryan Sloan or a Cade Anderson maybe creep up? I don't know. That those are fun little topics to chat on. They've got some great stuff. Early on in the season, you don't have a lot of tape on people, so could they be used early on? Again, service time, it's kind of above me and all those fun little nuances. Same. But you think about, you look at, I think football is a great example. You think of a rookie quarterback that just comes, or a guy that comes off the bench and he looks great, and you go, God, he looks really good. It's like, well, there's not a lot of tape on him, so no one's really tried to dissect the weaknesses. So, do you try to bring that person in early on just to get him in there? Again, he's a little bit of an enigma, and then you get him back out, so he gets that experience. Maybe, hey, we kind of got you a quick little test, and you got to little test the waters. We're going to take you back. We're going to continue to work on your craft, and then we'll see what happens. But I think right now, if opening day is tomorrow, it's Emerson Hancock.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, so moving away from spring training to the World Baseball Classic, there's been a lot with that this week, with the pool play wrapping up, both just like on the actual play side, but also just some of the storylines that we've been following. Looking at how different Mariners are doing, between Team USA, Team Italy, and all the stuff that was going on this week, Team Mexico. What are you thinking? Like, what have you seen that you've really liked? What have you seen for some of our guys? Yeah. What are you watching for?
Not diving into it too much. I've, again, just not had a lot of time to watch the games, which is, unfortunately for me, kind of a bummer. But just from what you hear and you see, first off, if Amazon carries the Team Italy espresso mix, like, can I please get a box or a pallet? Like, if I'd love to get something that gives me that kind of jolt or that kind of, just energy, because that is not your standard Kroger special. There's something, or Starbucks. There's something else in that, and I'd love to know what it is.
Maybe we can get them to sponsor our podcast. That would be great.
You know what? I love pasta, so yeah, come on. There's got to be something there. I will preach that all day long. Now I'm not sure if I'd be able to sit in my chair and drink it through a whole show, but you know what? That's entertainment for all y'all out there. Now we talked about this a few weeks ago, with the WBC. Like, I like seeing our prospects go out there because I think it's better competition than what you're going to do in spring training. And with the Mariners, we had, I think, 18 go out, which was the most by any organization, which I think is just a testament to what Dipoto and team are doing. But it can also hamper you. And if we remember the Drew Smiley situation a while back, Miles Mastroboni got hurt. And it's one of those, that guy was, a fringe, kind of that fringe guy of, does he make our roster as a utility? Is he in AAA? Kind of as that next call up? That hurts the case. Now, doesn't mean he couldn't get hurt in spring training, but he did get hurt ultimately, and it wasn't in a Mariners uniform. So Julio, I mean, I think, what was it, either today or yesterday, had an absolute game. So, it's good to see. And I think for Julio, I'm hoping this is what we see potentially leads him to, we've seen him, talks of MVP, this and that, but his biggest Achilles heel is he's always slow to start the year. Could this be having these at bats in that type of environment kind of speeds that up, where we're going to see more of a second half Julio in the first half of the season, and then what we see in the second half could be even more illustrious. So super exciting. I did see Spire give up a home run, I think, early on, so that was a bummer. But I think just you hear from some of the guys, I'm excited. I'm excited to see him come back. Again, the WBC, I'm a little excited to kind of see after pool play. Wish I had a little bit more info just to kind of see what everybody else is doing, but from just the headlines and the headlines that don't involve two players of ours, it looks good.
Yeah,
which I'm sure we'll can probably talk on here soon.
Yeah. So U.S. and Canada play. I think tomorrow, and then Italy plays. Is it Korea? I'll look it up, but I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's going to be coming into the quarterfinals is going to be really fun. The matchups are going to be kind of I think they're just going to be a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, U.S. plays Canada tomorrow at 5 Pacific time. And then Korea and the Dominican play tomorrow at 3:30. And then and then you've got, I think Puerto Rico and Italy and Venezuela and Japan playing Saturday. And then go from there. It's going to be fun. It's Team Italy. Like, you want to talk about dark horse. I mean, I don't think anybody saw that coming. And like you and I were talking about before, just Vinny Pasquantino yesterday, he had a 3 home run game, and he was higher than a kite on espresso after that game was over. Rightfully so, because he took 3 shots of it. But I'm just so excited for that team. And for him, I don't know if you saw his post game, but afterwards he's like, they were like, what do you want to say to the U.S. or whatever? And he's like, you're welcome. We were rooting for you guys. And so that's kind of fun. But, and then, I mean, Team USA, I mean, they got in by the hair on their chinny chin chin after a huge blunder by their manager. So I don't know. I think I'm really glad they made it in, but I mean, I hate to say it, but they didn't earn it. Like, they're really lucky to be there and to be continuing to have the opportunity to play. So
it's hard to say. I mean, I agree. I agree that based on that blunder, I mean, again, it's also coming from an MLB Network analyst. I mean, that does not help that situation. That
No.
looks really bad. I mean, I think they still earned it, right? Like they got themselves in that position where you could have a complete blunder. I think they voted like who was. I think I saw some political thing of who's been the most like blunderous person in U.S. and it had Biden, Trump, and DeRosa had like a 41% of the whole thing. It's like, good God, okay, that's funny, but at the same time, eek. So I mean, I think they deserve to be there, but it's one of those things. Hey, you got a magic bullet lottery ticket, go get one. One of those things. So get everyone ducks in a row. You need to come out against the Canada, and quite frankly, you need a mercy rule. You mercy rule Canada. It kind of goes, all right, we've forgotten all about your blunder. Let's move on to the next thing. So we'll see how it all transpires there.
For sure. I mean, I know they earned it, but just thinking about that moment and the way the lineup was set up, the fact that he was resting guys because he thought they'd won. He even made a comment, or somebody on the team, I can't remember if it was DeRosa or somebody else, was like, oh yeah, they had a lot of fun the night before. I'm like, okay, great. So they were all, everybody was hungover. Yeah, I'm just glad they made it in.
And I won't put that all on him. I will not put that all on DeRosa, to be honest. I mean, while he's the manager and, it's like the quarterback of a team, you get all the graces, you get all the failures. There's multiple people on that roster. I mean, you've got plenty of people probably in a management role that could have told you, hey,
how did nobody tell him?
So
I don't know.
His job is to manage based on information he's given. So if he's not given the right information, he's going off what he knows. So like, who's to say who's to say someone didn't say, oh yeah, we already clinched it. And again, he's probably going to be a big enough of a professional to not point fingers or whatever. He's going to take it on the chin like he did. And there's more to that story. But
yeah,
speaking of more to that story, Cal, Randy, what's your take on this deal?
Well, when I first saw it, I just literally thought this is not going to be a big deal. It's just the nature of you're like your teammates, but you're not, right? When you get home to Seattle, your teammates, but here you're playing for your country. He didn't just when you compare that to the same situation that happened with the Australian catcher, and I can't remember which team they were playing, when he said, no, I'm not going to shake hands or whatever. Cal called him over, talked to him, seemed like everything was fine. We moved on. Then Randy's comments come out afterwards, and, you've got half the internet interpreting it saying, oh, he's really mad. And you have the other half of the internet interpreting it saying, oh, he's joking in, this is very typical for, for whatever, cultural context, it made sense as a joke. And Cal comes out and he, kind of covers the whole thing. It says it's not a big deal. He talked to Randy, everything's fine. We think everything's good. Mexico doesn't play that day. And then when Mexico plays the next day, Randy refuses to talk to the media. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm concerned that there's going to be an issue in the clubhouse, but I don't think that it was fully a joke on Randy's part. And I also think that, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I think it was a very poor business decision on Randy's part to say what he said when you're talking about quite literally the face of the Mariners franchise, and you're talking about that interaction. To say what he said, even if it was being funny, I don't know. I just feel like that was really unwise on his part. Maybe, I'll give grace for you're really fired up after a game and the reporters are asking you about it. And I know, Randy kind of can be a little bit in that way of a personality, but I don't know. I was disappointed, but I don't necessarily think it's as big of a deal as some people are making out to be. How about you?
I mean, it's a lot of emotions. I hate the fact that you hear things, you see it, you make a reaction with, we get little info, then it seems to okay, we've rage baited enough. Now we'll trickle in the facts, right? I think I think
Mhm.
they saw something they talked about, like, I think Khaled brought it up to him already. Hey, don't do this. Like, again, this is what I'm seeing. Like, hey, I'm not going to address you. Go. I mean, I saw the whole thing interaction. I kind of started thinking of Ted Lasso when they had when they did their whole kind of like their World Cup thing, if you may. And I think it was, two of the teammates were playing each other, and the guy comes over to him and looked at him just like, you're dead to me kind of thing. And then after he breaks his nose, and afterwards he's like, hey, how you doing? Like, we're buddies now, right? Like, we're back on our team. So that's kind of where like in my head kind of the joke went. But you know, I heard things about, the pine tar in his hand. You do have a thing called a catcher's mitt. I mean, you could have just lifted that up, tapped it, and moved on. You
Yeah.
saw some things where, like, this is what you should have done. There was a moment with Tatis, and I forget who the catcher was, and they're hugging it out. I don't think you need to go to that extreme.
Yeah.
But kind of cat. I mean, at the end of the day, like, those guys are with each other. Those guys are playing with each other for what, 9 months out of the year. They're away from their families. Like, they are a family. So I get being in the zone, but again, you could have done the simplest, not looked at him through your catcher's glove up there, tapped it, and not thought twice of it. Now, did I hear something that said like that was USA's kind of motto? Don't give that type of acknowledgement. Again, is that just rumors? I don't know. I'm not deep enough into that to say yes or no. Randy's comments, honestly, I thought they were kind of funny, right? Were they serious? Now, when he goes and declines his interview with them, quite frankly, to me, that could also go, it was a joke. Or if it wasn't even a joke, I've had my conversation with my teammate. I don't need to talk about it more. The media wants to see how much can I spin this into something else. Randy's enough of a professional to go, hey, I was pissed in the moment, or he was making a joke, whatever it was, it got resolved in-house behind the scenes, and that's where it should have left. And then you get people that want to spin things more and more. So while it was a funny take at the moment, it was kind of there's a lot of ways you could take this. I mean, I've seen Brock Heward say something about Randy should have been better, and it's like, maybe not. I don't know. Because again, those guys have went to war with one another. So at that point, it's like, it kind of even leads in. I think you talked about it earlier, or, off before we started, about the Julio quote, about, I think you said something, I think it was along the lines of, what was more important to you, home run to the World Series or WBC? And it sounded like he was more about the WBC. Context. Do we get the whole context? Are we seeing a 30-second clip out of a 30-minute show? I don't know. I mean, to me, it's people in the moment. This is, and yeah, we can spin ourselves in circles on this. Percy Harvin, Golden Tate. There's a great example of that. Now that one was a little physical. I think we found some more adulterous things after the fact, but yeah, it's at the end of the day, some of these people want to have still won the Super Bowl. Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they didn't win that Super Bowl. They beat the shit out of them, and you can bleep me out later, but that wasn't that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this scenario, I think it gets blown out of proportion just because of the situation, all the factors in play. At the end of the day, it's people competing to win a game.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, at this, like, as quick as we can be to kind of demonize Randy for his comments, like you said, there's things that Cal could have done too. And we don't know what that conversation was afterwards. And gosh, I hope that's just the end of it. I hope that this just dies off and we don't ever have to talk about it again. I remember, gosh, in the first like hour or two after everything happened, there was somebody, I wish I could find it, posted on Twitter. It's like, this feels like, like divorced parents fighting, or like, cause you just don't ever want like two people that you love so much on your team being at each other. And especially with the Mariners, like, I mean, sure, there's been plenty of drama and moments, but not for a while. And it's, we don't ever, that's something that the Mariners have just prioritized, right? They prioritize a really good clubhouse culture, and guys who don't contribute to a good clubhouse culture usually end up somewhere else. And so, I mean, I think there's a good chance Randy's going to end up somewhere else anyway, because we're coming up to that time. But yeah, it was just, I don't know.
And
I
I think
hope
my
it blows
last,
over.
yeah, I think the last piece I look at it, and I think this will kind of settle it. If the roles were reversed and Cal did that, would you be like, oh, Cal was, how dare you not, acknowledge your captain of your team? And the fact that I think if you could look at both situations and potentially have different results, different feelings, just because of who they are and what they mean to the Seattle Mariners and Major League Baseball as a whole, tells me it's over. It's blown way out of proportion. He didn't give him a middle finger. He said something to him. He didn't just completely ignore him, or, hey man, I'm gonna have a pitch call right up in the grill. He was like, hey, I'm focused on this, and moved on. And I think media, again, is going to try to claw into everything possible. Move on. There's much better pieces to look at. I mean, we talk about, I wish there would have been more talked about the, I'm gonna get it wrong, but that pitcher for, I forget the team, essentially he was retiring after that game through 4 2/3 scoreless against Japan. Like, I want to see more of that. That was
I know that.
Yeah, an electrician by trade comes out there and deals. Like, that's what I want to see more of. Not this. It wasn't even a squabble. It was just a reaction. And but again, that's what people want to see and yell and scream about.
Or like James Paxton, who came out of retirement and pitched yesterday for Canada, right? And they won. They had to win to go on, and there they are, right? And James Paxton, I mean, Big Maple, we all love him, right? Like, I would love to. I agree with you completely.
In Rooftop Sports, I agree. He needs to chill.
Oh yeah.
Everyone needs to chill. Everybody needs to chill. It's who's to say they're not laughing, going, God, that was funny. Like, just trying to stir a pot here or there. Again, it's baseball at a national level, competitive. Who's to say they're not trying to? Who's know they're playing chess right now? We just don't know it.
Well, we know Dan Wilson only plays checkers. He doesn't play chess, right? That was so funny when he said that last year, and then they just smoked the crap out of everybody. Anyway, yeah, I completely agree, and I'm really excited to see how it goes forward. I'm bummed out for Team Mexico, really only because Andres Munoz, he like, I mean, I Randy too, but I would have loved to see him go a little further, but we've got some good quarterfinals to go, and then we'll see from there. And then I think the reality is we're all just ready for baseball, right? We're ready for baseball season, and maybe that's why everybody's all keyed up, is because they have nothing to talk about, because it's either the WBC or you're watching or listening to spring training, because most of the games you can't even watch. So people are bored. Do you have anything else that you think we should cover? Any other things that we missed?
I'm sure there's 1,000 things we've missed, but there's only 2 people here. So, no, I think it's just gearing up for a really interesting year of Seattle baseball. There's just so many storylines, and I think that's exciting, but they're all really positive. Who's gonna finalize that outfield? Who's gonna finalize our utility? Who's gonna be the last few bullpen pieces? Who's gonna be the 5th starter if Bryce is out? I say mostly positive. It's intriguing because it's not who's going to play second base for us, because we haven't found him yet. Like, there's nothing of that nature. It's more like, hey, we've got a log jam at multiple positions, and we're waiting to see who rises to the top. And I don't think we've been able to say that. I don't know, ever. I mean, we can't say that for the 01 season. I mean, hell, we didn't know what we had. We didn't realize that we were going to have everybody on that team have a career year at the exact same time, stars aligned. So going into this year, I think it's pretty awesome. Now, we've had, similar situations where we think, oh, this is, we've got all the pieces in place and the seasons don't go well. I don't feel that way with this team. I think this team is just, there's not a lot of, oh, it's going to go really well, but if this happens or if this goes back to here, I think we've seen the foundation of the team, the pieces they've added. Again, Brandon Donovan, I think he could be that missing link to what they were missing last year. And if maybe we get a diamond in the rough and a Brent Davis that, as a 26, 27-year-old prospect, figured it all out. Awesome. I'd love to see it. But stay tuned. My popcorn's ready.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a really fun season, and I am so glad that opening day is only 2 weeks away. I get to be there that night, and I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun. All right, well, if there's nothing else, this has been the Hold My Trident podcast. I think it's going to be a really fun season to come, and thanks for joining us tonight, and we will see you guys on Sunday.